We did 25 countries. We did 183 shows this year, which is basically a show every 2 days.
yeah.
So I've done 182 shows of this before we film it for Netflix. I took Juhu Beach Sand to New York, which is not as easy as it would seem. मैं डरूंगा नहीं, मैं joke करूंगा. अगर आप हंसेंगे नहीं, फिर मैं डरूंगा. Today very unpredictable.
Okay.
आजकल कहाँ से noise आएगा, किस वजह से noise आएगा,
Right.
you cannot predict. Hello, I'm Veer Das. You're watching this interview on Bollywood Hungama.
Making people laugh, landing in trouble, and making a joke of that. That is Veer Das for you.
That's a nice, short, quick summary of an intro. It's
Right.
nice.
Veer, thank you for the entertainment. That's the first thing I want to say. I watched it, laughed alone in my room. Thank you for the entertainment.
Thank you for watching, man. It's good to be. It's good to have another special out.
Yeah.
You know.
Veer, what I want to ask you is your last special I thoroughly enjoyed. We were in New York together during Emmys.
Yes.
And everybody was talking about it. And I thought, this is it. This is what Indian comedy is. It cannot get better than this. Then comes Landing, which I really feel you raise the bar with it.
That's right.
One is how challenging it is to not repeat a joke. Can you repeat a joke ever? What does it take to put this together?
I think it just took focus that I wasn't able to have over the last few years simply because of it was pre-pandemic. And pre-pandemic there was lots of, acting projects, lots of traveling around, etc., etc. And then this year, because I spent the whole pandemic acting, and then I hadn't toured in 3 years. So this year I just took 8 months of my life and said, I'm just going to travel the world.
Right.
I'm not going to act, I'm just going to tour. And so I think we did 25 countries, we did 183 shows this year, which is basically a show every 2 days.
Yeah.
That kind of focus.
Okay.
Because I think even I was acutely aware that, Veer Das for India was a very well received special.
Right.
And that better or worse, I don't know, but it has to be, what I do next has to be remarkably different thematically from that. So you just can't repeat yourself in that. And you're right, you cannot repeat a joke, but you also can't repeat a theme.
Yeah.
You can't repeat a set. You can't repeat a tone.
Right.
So you have to mix up everything.
Right. So can you explain to the viewers how did Landing happen? Where was this? How much crowd was there? Is it like the way it looks that we watch?
Yeah, so I wrote it, I directed it. It's shot in New York. It's shot in front of, I want to say, about 1,000 people in New York.
Okay.
I designed the set largely, as you say, it's just sand and it's gloss. I don't think I knew what the show was until 5 months of doing it. For 5 months, it's just a collection of jokes. And then suddenly one theme pops and you're like, okay, this is what it is.
Okay.
Thematically, the show is about coming home. It's about the feeling of home. It's about feeling safe at home. But it's also about what it means to be an Indian traveling the world and carrying your country with you, both emotionally and literally carrying your country with you.
Right. And do you want to tell the viewers, when you say carrying your country literally, what was that idea behind carrying Juhu Beach Sand with you?
So I took Juhu Beach Sand to New York, which is not as easy as it would seem. In a Ziploc bag, aisa karke le gaya. But Indian man with a bag full of sand is not really this thing, And there's also, I think there's a limitation to how much sand you can take.
There's a rule someone made.
Yeah, so you can't take too much. So I just took enough to film the, the cup and the this thing.
Okay.
But the idea is that even though I'm abroad or I'm across the world, I've taken my soil, my desh ki dharti with me.
Right. So you stood on your soil.
Yeah, so I had to time my feet every time I did a joke about home. I had to stand on home. Every time I did a joke about America, which are in equal proportions, or about the world,
right.
I had to stand in the world.
One more thing that you have to keep in mind, which is quite amazing, is if you perform in Bandra, it's very different.
Yeah.
If you perform in India, it's different. This is a crowd that has NRIs, Indians, Asians, white, and everyone else. What do you keep in mind that, this is how it has to cater? There has to be a Trump joke, there has to be a Juhu Beach joke.
But also, it's not just the room, right? The room is kind of representative of Netflix in general.
Yes.
Netflix goes out to, you've seen the PPT, I've seen the PPT, whatever, however many countries there are in this thing. So it has to be relatable to that as well.
Right.
So if you end up trying to cater particular jokes to particular people, you'll never have a wide enough reach.
Right.
But if you keep the show extremely emotional, or if you keep it extremely human, ironically, that has a wider reach.
Right.
So what people resonate with is, for instance, the boarding school story,
Yeah.
or being beaten in school. Now, they don't know anything about Indian boarding school or which boarding school it is,
Correct.
but irrespective of where they are, that's the story they pick up on. Or, they don't know what the Filmfare Awards are.
Yeah,
I explain it to them. Of
Yeah.
course, I'll explain it to you.
Right.
But they know what it feels like to be humiliated in a public space,
Right.
So I think the emotion is more that they connect with, because otherwise you can't write a Trump joke and a this joke and a Macron joke and you'll go insane.
Right, but most of these will always be your life instances, your clip, not Amir Khan not giving a clip of your film for Filmfare. These will be your instances of life on throughout, right? Which in the future as well.
I think so. I can only rely on my perspective, and then I think as you get older, you have to at some point be like, यार मेरी कहानी ये है,
जी, हाँ.
मेरी identity ये है, कि for whatever reason I'm a misfit in many places and I've been raised in many places. And rather than trying to fit in, I'll just tell this story.
Right.
And hopefully enough people feel like misfits or outsiders to relate to this story.
Before you go on stage, a huge stage like that, is there something that you all test that it's working, it's not working?
I mean, by the time we film a special, ironically, by the time a comedian shoots the special, he's done with the jokes. He hates the jokes in his mind. He's like, I want to write something else. So I've done 182 shows of this before we film it for Netflix.
Wow.
And as a director, I've thought about every camera angle, I've thought about every light, this thing. Typically, you film 3 shows.
Right.
And then you pick the best one.
Yeah, okay.
And the night before we shot it, so we shot it on a Friday, 2 shows, early show, late show.
Okay.
And we shot a rehearsal show.
Okay.
On the Thursday night. On Thursday night, out of 25 countries and 180 shows, it was the worst show I'd ever had.
Okay. When you say worst show means?
Just bad energy. I was off.
Okay.
The crowd could see it. It was the most terrible show. And then, फिर थोड़ा जोश आ जाता है, you don't sleep at night, and then, so then you bring it home.
Right. After your last show, when we were in New York, we were discussing what all was happening back here.
Very different tone of interview.
Very
दोनों
different.
थोड़े बैठे हुए थे.
So, did people tell you, ki, Veer, now lie low, just be quiet, don't do this?
But I did, no? At the end of the day. Like, I think you might have been the last person that I spoke to about that situation.
Right.
And you are the first person I'm speaking to about it now. Because I don't think you get to predict when you create a conversation.
Right.
But as an artist, you have to quietly honor that conversation.
Right.
Without taking part in that conversation. So all feedback is good feedback. The next time you talk about it, it should be a joke.
Right.
It should be your art form. So I think, if you and me were not at the Emmys, we wouldn't have done that interview also.
Yeah,
Let's be
yeah,
honest,
correct.
right?
Of course,
I wouldn't have spoken
I got
about
lucky.
Right? Well, and helped me also. But I just shut up and I wrote jokes about it. Yeah.
Right.
So that the next time I talk about it, it'll be my art form.
Yeah.
And something that began with some drama, now over the course of a year has made millions of people laugh.
Yes.
And has given joy.
Correct.
So to me, that's a way of controlling my narrative.
Right. So the noise that comes with it is short-lived, you would believe?
I think the noise that comes with it is today very unpredictable.
Okay.
आजकल कहाँ से noise आएगा, किस वजह से noise आएगा,
Right.
you cannot predict. You have to just say कि there is a certain scale of artists who are of note enough in their own particular fields.
Right.
And all of you will have your 1 week of noise.
Yeah.
And आपका moment आएगा, बैठ जाना, deal with it, let the cycle pass,
Right.
and then just go back to doing your job.
Right.
But किस लिए आएगा, I don't think you can predict anymore. It could happen because of anything.
When I was recommending your show last night to a lot of people, and they asked that, how's it? There's a first question: is he holding something back this time? Is he scared? Like, what? Did he not crack some? I thought there were no bars. You were yourself, just like you are always. Was that a conscious thing, or are you like that? Will nothing stop you from joking?
The crowd will let me know. I trust my audience implicitly.
Right.
And whether you liked it or you didn't like it, I'll learn from both pieces of feedback. But if you start trying to hold back basis who will like what, my crowd is too large to guess.
Okay.
I think what we're seeing right now also with comedy specifically is, first, this many people used to watch comedy. And it used to be just comedy fans. Now this many people watch comedy. It's a very large audience.
Right.
And so these two segments have just joined the party.
Okay, right.
And so
Fair.
they're going to have every kind of reaction. They're going to have an early reaction. They're going to say, how can you say this? They're going to say, why don't you talk about me? And you have to honor that and welcome them to the party.
Okay.
So, but you can't please all of these people. There are too many people watching stand-up now to please everyone.
So now since all this crowd has been added, to put it very directly, क्या वीरदास जोक क्रैक करने के पहले डरेंगे? Will he just be himself?
नहीं, मैं डरूंगा नहीं, मैं जोक करूंगा. अगर आप हंसेंगे नहीं, फिर मैं डरूंगा. तो आप बता देना आपको अच्छा लगा, आपको बुरा लगा.
That is the biggest fear.
और अगर आपकी हंसी नहीं आए and you are silent,
Right.
then I will go back and I will rewrite the joke.
Amazing. As landed perfectly as per your expectations, are you happy? Are you sleeping well?
I'm sleeping well. I think the response has been quite tremendous. You know, it's always mysterious with Netflix and these platforms. You never know quite how you've done. But
Right.
I think at this stage, for an English performer, the best you can hope for is that everybody who watched it thought it was superb, and that it gets feedback from every different kind of person.
Right.
You know,
Right.
I don't think you can measure stand-up comedy in views or in commercial success. There's really no way to measure it in that sense.
Correct.
You know,
Are there people close to you in your life who you go to for a joke and say, like, to check if this is working?
I try and check it with like different people. So
Okay.
I'll try and check it with like an 18 to 25-year-old. I'll try and check it with a younger woman and an older woman. I'll try and check it with one uncle also. I'll be like, uncle, आप गुस्सा हो रहे हो कि नहीं हो रहे हो? I'll definitely check that. So I will check that. It may not affect the writing of the joke or the delivery of the joke, but it helps to know. Hello, I'm Veer Das. You're watching this interview on Bollywood Hungama.